everyone, Deborah here. I am making this live stream tonight because I got a question on my blog where somebody said that couldn't wait to rent a skid steer so that they could get rid of the worms on their pasture. And I said, please do not waste your money on that. I just cannot even imagine what a colossal waste of money that would be. I know in our area, it's a few $100s a day to rent a skid steer. And once you do that, you're going to have to completely replant your pasture because you got nothing left. And it's going to do absolutely nothing for your worm problem. Um, and it's actually the problem is not in your dirt. Like if you have a worm problem, it's because of mismanagement. And running a skid steer, like fine, you take off the top layer of dirt, but that's not where your problem is. Your problem is in the grass. So if you're not rotationally grazing and you spend a few $100s to rent this skid steer and then you replant your pasture and you still don't rotate, you're going to have the same problem again a few months down the road, probably pretty quickly, because you will wind up with worm larvae on the lower 4 inches of the grass. And so if your pasture's regrowing and you're letting goats out there when the grass is 4 inches or less, then your goats are going to be consuming nice fresh worm larvae to just keep reinfecting themselves. So renting a skid steer is not the answer. I have a parasite course that covers covers FAMACHA training because I'm a certified FAMACHA instructor. And the biggest thing is you either need to rotate your pastures or you need to have a dry lot. And if you have a dry lot and your goats are still having a worm problem, it's probably because there's grass around the edge and that is covered with worm larvae and your goats are eating that. So grass is an integral part of the worm life cycle. So the goats poop out the worm eggs. They hatch on pasture. Eggs need air to hatch. They do not hatch inside the goat. And then the larvae wind up on the grass. And when the goats eat short grass, that's when they wind up consuming the worm larvae. So, like I said, renting a skid steer is not going to help your problem. The other thing in the same area that people ask me about is like burning their pasture. That has actually been studied because they used to do that, like last century idea there, they would do that. And then they actually studied it and found out that it does not do anything. The thing is because if you've got green grass, it's not going to burn down to the dirt. And it doesn't get hot enough. It doesn't really do anything to reduce the worm load on the pasture either. And no, there is nothing that you can sprinkle on your pasture or spray on your pasture or anything like that that's going to kill the worms, because those eggs are in fecal pellets. So first of all, it would take a huge amount of some kind of a drug, and there's not even one, but it would take a huge amount to do that. But the other thing is all the eggs that are in the fecal pellets are protected. And that's the thing too, like that's why with burning, like the eggs are in the fecal pellets and they don't get burned up because the green grass is just like, doesn't burn. So it's going to be really fast. It's not going to affect them. Sprinkling DE all over your pasture is not going to do anything. So the answer to getting control of worm problems in your goats is not in the pasture. It is in pasture rotation or having your goats on a dry lot. And if you have a goat that has a really bad case of worms, you need to keep them in the barn until their FAMACHA score is back to a 3. And this is where you got this crazy idea that worms hatch inside the goat, is because people give their goats a dose of dewormer and they stick them back out on the same larva covered pasture where they've been living. And so they're just picking up more larvae from that pasture. I cover all of this and a lot more in my parasite course, which includes FAMACHA training and everything. I mentioned earlier, I'm a certified FAMACHA instructor. So please do not waste hundreds of dollars on renting a skid steer and then reseeding your pasture, because that is not going to help your worm problems. You need to learn about the worm life cycle and about pasture rotation or using a dry lot. It's all about management. It is not about drugs and chemicals and herbs or anything like that. So I hope this has been helpful, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye for now.